Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I'm ready. Let's take on the biggest debates on radio, provide insights, experience, and build an unforgettable discussion together. I am Femi D. Amele.
Very lovely day. So excited to be here with you. Yes, welcome to the show. This is The Brief with Fremdi Live. I'm glad you made it in. It's Saturday, the 13th day of June 2020. There's a lot to cover with regards to the news. The Brief is where I bring you all the latest stories as it happened throughout the course of the week. All the details therein with the people who spoke, with the actors, with the characters, and the newsmakers. All the stories you would find in one place. These are the stories I can verify, even stories produced right here on Nigeria Info FM, which is the news text from the news department here. So stay tuned, stay close, because these are stories that would make some of the talking points for later this week. This is The Brief with Femdi Live. Welcome.
Talk show unravels your thinking, makes you stop to listen, engages you in a debate of opinions.
I believe this man knows what he's doing. He is a Nigerian.
And ultimately brings you to the king of talk radio, Femi D. Live.
Welcome to the show. Let's start off with Monday. As always, it's a delight to follow through with some of the stories from Monday. Monday starts off the news making. Sometimes it even provides its own livelihood and takes on the form of its own from the stories from the weekend. Now, last weekend, right, there were some interesting moments. Let me start off with some of the statements that did make up the weekend and then were translated into Monday morning conversation. The presidency just this Monday announced that, the people of the indigenous people of Biafra, yes, we easily call them IPOB, the presidency did accuse them of working to disrepute the Nigerian government internationally. The senior special assistant to the president of media and publicity, Garba Shehu, was one that put forward a statement on Sunday evening saying, as much as $85,000 was being obtained monthly from some sponsors abroad, including from the United States. He says this money has been going on since October 2019. In fact, he is really upset about this. He says the campaigns cannot be said, the two campaigns can only be said to be interconnected, big time interconnected. The SSA therefore said Nigerians and the international community not to believe IPOB when they say Christians are being killed in Nigeria. He even goes on to say the problem with the way they're going about it is they're making the Nigerian name to be distributed, to be talked about wrongly completely. But that was a statement that did start of the news circle on Monday. But hey, what can we do? The story follows through with regards to that. Now, also on Monday, the NCDC did provide numbers that best describes the start of the week. Let me take you through where we were when this week started. Monday, it was 12,486 people. That was the total number of cases on record. Abia, by the way, did come in the start of the week as top of the chart with 67 new cases. FCT on Monday had 40. Now, what also means is that Lagos had 38, 19 in Ogun State, Gombe with 16, Edo with 14, Imo State with 9, Kwara alongside with Katsina, Borno, Nasarawa all had 8 cases, Kaduna with 6, Bauchi with 5, Ekiti with 4. and 2 cases each in Niger, Plateau, Kano, and Sokoto State. Now, the NCDC did say the number of discharged patients as of Monday is 3,959, with 354 deaths on record. This is all relation to COVID-19 as at Monday. But you and I know those numbers have moved even further down the aisle now, moved even further down the tally. But that did get a lot of people going on as regards how things were. Now, on Monday as well, there's been reactions from religious leaders trailing much of the conversation on opening up the religious centers. Yes, they were opened. Churches in Nigeria's capital city on Sunday opened for worship following the lifting of the ban on religious gathering by the federal government. Francis Onoja was out there just this Sunday just to, find out how was he like? I mean, how did people feel like? He went on. The FCT task force on COVID-19, by the way, was also on patrol to make sure churches did follow through with the conditions they agreed to. To see how things would go through. Francis Onoja was in Dunamis International Gospel Church just this last Sunday to find out how they are taking the new measure and how they are pretty much reacting to it. Take a listen to that very moment. They talked to churchgoers just this Sunday.
Today was really, really powerful. People really complied to the rules regarding the COVID pandemic of a thing.
When I came to the church, I saw how they arranged the chair, how they give the distance. Everybody came with their nose mask. In fact, 1 meter gap is normal.
So what actually happened today, we all see that there was huge compliance by all the members of the church.
The regulation set by the government is for the well-being of the people. And as a church, from the gate, the compliance was 100%. Even when the NCDC Joint Task Force came, they were giving us a top-up on the arrangement on ground.
Oh, yeah, that's true, because it appears the FCT ministerial tax team were really happy on Monday. Following through with this story as it relates to Sunday, they say they were really excited to see and commend CAN, that's the Christian Association of Nigeria, with regards to how the church leadership reacted to the very much needed adherence to the regulations, as we would have. Now, First Baptist Church, Gimbia Street in Area 11, well, the team did go there. They said it was good. It was good to see how things were. Now, the FCT chapter of Christian Association of Nigeria, the chairman here in Abuja, also was on hand to explain how these new modalities, pretty much would help the religious centers. I believe so. Well, Reverend Samson Jonah did speak with regards to this. Take a listen.
COVID-19 is not a myth, it's a reality, and we've tried as possible to sensitize people through advocacy, letting people know the danger if we don't adhere to the instruction given. And by God's grace, having called pastors for meeting, we drum it to their ears, and we told them we'll not leave anything to chance. And by God's grace, we've seen people adhering and obeying the instruction given.
Oh, yeah. And Ikaro Ata, who is the chairman of the ministerial task force team here in Abuja, here's what he said.
We've gone around several churches, and what we saw is really in line with the COVID-19 guideline issued by the FCT administration as well as that of the PTF. We have seen intense social distancing across all the churches we have seen. We've seen reduced members. We've seen staggered worship session. To be very, very candid, we've seen face masks being used across board. We've seen persons asking us to wash our hands, checking our temperature, giving us sanitizers for us to use. And these are all part of the guidelines that we have all seen, and we are largely very impressed.
All right, well, it looks like we are off to a good start, at least from last Sunday, when it comes to religion in Nigeria. Let's hope every religion, whether Christian, Muslim, or alternative, is able to follow through with what is required in order to keep everybody safe. Now, let's move forward now. Insecurity in the country. Do you want to talk about Katsina, Kaduna, or Zamfara State? Well, they've all had very terrible incidents just this very week. Now, the Action Democratic Party has expressed concerns about this, in which they say the All Progressive Congress-led government is handling the insecurity situation in the country. Well, in Abuja, just this last Sunday, at a press conference to mark the anniversary, the party chairman was on hand to speak about this. The national chairman of the ADP, Yabagi Sani, spoke about how states such as Kaduna, Katsina, Zamfara, and the likes of them, they should actually be put under the state of emergency.
In Mali, with thousands of citizens of that country demonstrating against their government for failure in tackling insecurity. And God forbid, on a larger scale, an incident of a George Floyd, Hausa villagers that may be killed in one of these northern villages in Nigeria by so-called bandits, igniting millions of northerners to take to the streets demonstrating against President Buhari with the hashtag Hausa Lives Matter. A stitch in time saves 9. Please ease out these service tips, we tell President Buhari now, and energize the service for a more efficient and decisive fight against these ragtag marauders.
That was the ADP national chairman there. We're following the anniversary, given the government possible ideas on how to handle insecurity in the country. But however, he was excited about the Executive Order 10. Yes, the order that may be controversial in some quarters, but then he's really excited about it because of the state's legislature and judiciary financial autonomy in which the president did sign. In fact, he's encouraging the president to go on, sign the Executive Order 11, and that would cover the likes of elections. Now, stop election irregularities, first credible, free, peaceful, and fair elections at all levels. He explained what that means.
ADP wish to commend President Buhari for signing an Executive Order 10 enforcing the financial autonomy of the state legislature and judiciary. If nothing is done to checkmate the executive at both the states and the federal levels, who are largely responsible for the cankerworm in these two institutions. The solution, in our opinion, is another Executive Order number 11 to stop election irregularities and enforce credible, free, peaceful, and fair elections at all levels of governance as an addendum to the electoral bill under review by the National Assembly.
That's the way to go. Meanwhile, let me go this way. President Buhari himself has been talking about insecurity in the country. He says states, local governments, you name them, all of them should actually renew their intelligence assets and get better at what they do. It's regrettable that the sporadic incidents going on is leading to the loss of lives in parts of the country. Now, during the presidential broadcast marking Democracy Day on Friday, implored both sides, to do more, just do more, do all you can. Let me share that with you. Okay, that was just yesterday. Let me share what he said with you with regards to that. So, for those who are saying he hasn't said much, here's what he said just yesterday.
I regret recent sporadic incidents with tragic loss of lives in Katsina and Borno states as a result of criminals taking advantage of COVID-19 restrictions. Security agencies will pursue the perpetrators and bring them to swift justice. I implore state and local governments to revamp their intelligence assets so that the security agencies can nip in the bud any planned attacks in remote rural areas.
Meanwhile, he's still insisting that, yes, community policing strategy need to be put in place. After all, the Ministry of Police Affairs was created as efforts to strengthen the security architecture in the country. Well, here's what he said.
As part of the strengthening of our internal security architecture, the Ministry of Police Affairs was created. Government has expanded the National Command and Control Center to 19 states of the Federation, resuscitated the National Public Security Communication System, and commenced the implementation of the Community Policing Strategy. Government has similarly established a Nigerian Police Trust Fund as a public-private sector vehicle for alternative sources of funding security activities.
All right, well, that clears that up now. Let's also mention to you that in relation to all this, the Abia State Governor this weekend was positive. He tested positive to the coronavirus, COVID-19. Much of that story goes on and on. It was interesting to contrast what he had said in the past about the virus and then the fact that he's now gone down with the virus. That announcement was made on Tuesday. It was made known. Governor Okezie Ikpeazu tested positive to COVID-19. He went into isolation immediately. Remember that I also did say to you during the week that the Commission of Environment did pass on, but even though it was difficult to establish the cause of his death at the time, the governor instructed all the members of the State Executive Council to go on to test themselves. Some came out negative, but he did test positive. Well, following that motion, he instructed that his deputy governor, Ude Okochukwu, continue to act on his behalf pending the time is able to fully resume into office. Now, still talking about COVID-19, on Tuesday, the numbers were 12,486, yeah? Okay, I did mention that Abia was on top of that list as at noontime. In Lagos State, however, 31 where people were recovered, or they did recover from COVID-19, and yes, from various isolation centers in the state. The governor was pretty much excited about these new figures and said he revealed that 31 people comprising 25 males and 6 females were discharged from 5 treatment centers across the state. Well, these treatment centers are located in Onikon, Bagada, Agidingbi. Lekki Lagos University Teaching Hospital made a lot of difference for him. So, Lagos State seems to be on the path of recovery, if I may put it that way. Let's move away from that now. In Tiv, Taraba State, the settlement there is getting a tough time. No, yes, the ethnic militia attacks are going on and on in that regard. I like this kind of spending. Okay, thank you, Tunde. I'm grateful. Grateful. So, thank you. It's making me feel good. All right. The federal government urged to deploy security forces to Tiv settlements in Taraba State to check the recurring ethnic militia attacks. And yes, it claimed thousands of lives in the area. Now, addressing newsmen in Abuja about this, the spokesperson of the Tea people in Taraba State, Uche Obey, expressed worry over what he described as lack of political will by the state government to enforce the recommendations of several panel of inquiry. In fact, he was really upset about this and expressed himself accordingly. Let me share with you what he said with regards to what's going on in that part of the country.
Federal government, as a matter of urgency, is set up an administrative commission of inquiry. Even if they have no powers, they will now identify, because that one was a church body, they will now be able to issue political or administrative statements that may bring to an end this crisis. The federal government of Nigeria should ensure a political level ground for all ethnic groups within that region. This can be done by correcting some of the political imbalances that have placed certain tribes like the Tiv and other House of Fulani and others in disadvantaged positions during elections.
All right, well, that pretty much covers that. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, let me squeeze in New Zealand. Well, they are now free. They went level 1, and even though they closed all the borders remain closed, New Zealand reported no new COVID-19 cases for more than 2 weeks. The Prime Minister was super excited about this, Jacinda Ardern. She did tell reporters a little dance, just a little dance, she feels. Take a listen.
And so today, I can announce that Cabinet has agreed we will now move to level 1 to get our economy fully open again, and we will start almost immediately. We move down to COVID-19 alert level 1 from midnight tonight. We are not immune to what is happening in the rest of the world. But unlike the rest of the world, not only have we protected New Zealanders' health, we now have a head start on our economic recovery. That's because at level 1, we become, if not the most open, one of the most open economies in the world.
All right, well, that's New Zealand. Let's hope someday soon Nigeria is also able to get there. I did talk about Executive Order 10. Oh, yes, Executive Order 10. Governors don't like. Okay, well, there are a set of governors who don't like it. And it looks like that's the stand of the governors now. The chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Kogi State Governor, Dr. Kogi Fayemi, who, by the way, also celebrated his wife just this past few days on the birthday, he was expressing himself after they did meet. I mean, the Governors Forum did meet with President Muhammadu Buhari with regards to that Executive Order 10 that would have seen state governors ensure financial autonomy for state legislatures and judiciaries. Now, he's concerned about this. He says this is a little bit more. He says that the order that mandates the Accountant General of the Federation to deduct from source amounts due to state legislature and judiciary from money allocation to each state for states that refuse to grant such autonomy. Meaning, so if a state government says, judiciary legislature, don't worry, we'll be paying you. Now, the Executive Order 10 says, once they take that position, guys, deduct from source. Well, Kogi Fayemi was not so pleased about that information, but he shared his own thoughts with regards to this. Take a listen to that thoughts. Oh, do I have it? Do I still have it? No, it doesn't look like I have it now. Okay, maybe I'll rally back around this one. Meanwhile, the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, hosted the meeting and it was attended by governors from Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwa. Kogi State Governor was also there. That's Atiku Bagudu. Minister of Finance was present, Zainab Ahmed. And then the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, was also there. Now, let's venture a little bit into the House of Representatives. Now, they are the lawmakers. Well, this week, they stressed the need to bridge the lack of interagency collaboration. Yeah, that was their point of emphasis. Well, they said the nation's inability to rescue, protect, evacuate, and defend its citizens in difficulties in other nations says a lot. Chairman of the House Committee on Diaspora, Tulope Akonde Sadipe, did share this on Monday in an agency meeting on the rising dehumanization of Nigerians, especially females living abroad. Honorable Akonde Sadipe, who said, contrary to Nigerians abroad, that they're being faced with and subjected to the worst forms of abuses and inhuman treatment, he says this is about the time to really look into this situation and hope for a better outlook than have Nigerians suffer the way they do suffer. Listen to him.
Nationals from other countries that are in Nigeria enjoy the highest form of hospitality from our citizens. And they also enjoy more favorable balance of trade and payment in our interactions with them. Nigerians abroad deserve better treatment than is currently meted out to them. But instead of our citizens being faced and subjected to the worst forms of abuses, inhuman treatments, and in many cases, undeserved death, we need to put a stop to it.
Meanwhile, by the way, I meant to say listen to her, not listen to him. Okay, so there's more to that because the lawmaker also said there are examples that really serve a lot. Females being trafficked across the country.
The most recent disheartening and affront to the nation's sovereignty was the refusal at the airport of 10 Nigerian females rescued from trafficking to be evacuated from Lebanon after they had been in the custody of our embassy and no tangible reason was advanced between the period they left the homes where they were being enslaved and had been at the embassy to the point when they arrived at the airport. There were no complaints, there were no reports. To me, this seems like an issue of ego. The ego of their supposed slave masters.
That was Honorable Tulope Sadikpe was speaking up regarding the human conditions Nigerians find themselves abroad. Wait, it was a bee sting. No, it wasn't COVID-19. It was a bee sting, I assure you. Okay, well, that's how the Kogi State Government is shared this. The Kogi State Government has countered claims of the state having cases of coronavirus by stating that the alleged index case in the state only suffered a bee sting. Yeah, the same bee. The State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fawolu, disclosed this at press briefing in the state on Monday, reacting to the NCDC May 27 announcement of the state having 2 cases of coronavirus. Fawolu said the chief imam of Kaba, Abubakar Ahmed, was one of the 2 patients, only suffered a bee sting and has been discharged without seeing his test results.
We are challenging the NCDC to tell the whole world what they were hiding about the so-called index case that was recorded for Kogi State. And that was why we also raised the issue of the second one, because they said he was tested positive alongside his son. His son was moving around Abuja town, buying things for his father, relating and interacting, mingling with even health officials at the National Hospital. So if he was actually positive, why didn't they isolate him? Why were they so free with him, even health and medical officers?
Okay, well, I don't know. It leaves its question. Let's hope the NCDC maybe responds or choose not to respond to this one. Well, one of the challenges bedeviling Nigeria's quest to defeating COVID-19 pandemic is the refusal by some individuals to believe the existence of the novel coronavirus. Well, let's find out about how this, whether Nigerians believe or don't believe. Abayomi Akibala did share a conversation with Joseph Chidibere for people currently battling with the virus. Mr. Joseph Chidibere said the major step to defeating the virus is to first of all conquer the fear. Take a listen to a part of that conversation.
The novel coronavirus disease, also known as COVID-19, is a highly pathogenic viral infection. The severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, which emerged from Wuhan, China, and spread around the world, is currently a nightmare to many governments. The intermediate source and transfer to human is still being determined, while the rapid human-to-human transfer has been confirmed widely. Since the index case was officially reported in Nigeria on 27th February 2020, the country's officials say immense success has been recorded as Nigeria marked 100 days in the first case on Saturday, 6 June 2020.
All right, I know we could go on and on, even to share that conversation, but I can't take it all through. I can't take it all the way in. Meanwhile, somewhere in Apo settlement, looks like the rain is not just flooding up their roadworks and places, it's also flooding up the borehole. Heavy downpour was settling the water from the borehole, making it unhygienic for them to use. This is the latest complaint coming from those areas at this time. It was just one conversation that really needs to be visited. Meanwhile, the FCT boss in charge of Water Board now, head of Public Relations Unit, FCT Water Board, Chegan Kawadi, did share that the lack of pipe-borne water supply in the Apo resettlement area was due to the absence of infrastructure as such. But before then, take a listen to how the residents there explained.
We don't have running tap water in my area, It's been a while. We've been looking up to the government and the people involved, to get the water. I don't have pipe-borne water in my area. We only use borehole in my area. We don't have a pipe-borne water. So we hope people in charge to do the necessary things to make sure water gets to us here.
And for the FCT Water Board, this is what that conversation was about, and their response to that.
With regards to Apo resettlement as required, we don't have infrastructure right now in Apo resettlement. That is the only problem. There is water within Apo itself and so most parts of Apo. But the problem is there is no infrastructure, and infrastructure is not under our purview. It is under the purview of the Federal Capital Development Authority, that is FCDA. They are to lay pipes. When they lay pipes, they hand over to us and we supply water.
Okay, so what happens next?
But I know and we are sure that by the time the Greater Abuja Water Project, which is being financed by World Bank, by the time it takes off, it will take care of Apo resettlement and some other places where water is not available right now. In terms of raw water, we have enough supply of raw water. We have the dam at Suma Dam, and we have another dam we can augment with, that is Gurara Dam, which is in Kaduna State. If there is any shortage of raw water in Suma Dam or reduction in what we have in Suma Dam, we can always augment with Gurara Dam.
Meanwhile, I don't want to forget this. There was a terror attack on the village in Zowo Village, Borno State. It did lead to the death of 81 persons during the week in Gubio. The incident, which took place on Tuesday night, were believed to have been executed by assailants linked with Boko Haram. The Borno State Governor, Babagana Zulum, visited the community on Wednesday, who was told by a survivor that 81 residents were killed during the attack. On Tuesday, with 13 persons injured and 7 others, including the village head, abducted now. While sympathizing with the people over the attack, Governor Zulum urged the Nigerian military to undertake a final onslaught that should put an end to the insurgents in the shore of Lake Chad. The Borno State Governor described the attack as barbaric and unfortunate. He said he evacuated 5 injured persons in his convoy for treatment at an undisclosed hospital. Well, this is some of the realities going on. And Katsina version of it is not anything less, because 50 persons in Kadisio town in Faskari local government area of Katsina State also were killed the same week. Now, according to the sources, the bandits who were armed with sophisticated weapons arrived in the town on a motorcycle at about 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, and it happened after a protest by residents in Dan Musa local government area over rising insecurity and kidnapping in the locality. Wait, did you get that? What that means is the people came out to protest. There's insecurity, there's kidnapping, there's all kinds. And just later that same evening, there were bandits at 4:30 p.m. and leading to the loss of 50 persons, according to much of the record available. The protests followed the abduction. They said they were protesting because there was an abduction of a man alongside with his daughter in the early hours of Tuesday. Well, security operatives reportedly arrived in the town after the assailants had left. And the Katsina Police Command, took their time to express why that is going on. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives did revise the 2020 federal budget. The lower chamber raised the expenditure to 10.8 trillion from 10.5 trillion naira submitted by President Buhari. The lawmakers approved the president's request for $5.5 billion external loan, as we would have it. And in the Senate, they as well said, that they passed the revised 2020 budget following the receipt of the letter from Minister of Finance, giving it a go-ahead to insert the omitted. There was 186 billion naira omitted in the 500 billion COVID-19 intervention fund. So Senate President Ahmed Lawan announced at plenary on Wednesday that the submission of the report by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation. Well, this comes after a demand during plenary on Tuesday that of COVID-19 intervention fund, only 314 billion naira was captured in the appropriation bill. A development that therefore prompted the Senate to seek the intervention of the executive in resolving the grey area. Well, eventually they added it back and things have moved on ever since. Meanwhile, Senator Yaya Olorigbe, who is, by the way, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, says the Infectious Disease Bill, if passed by the National Assembly, will be instrumental in ensuring that Nigeria has the right mechanism to effectively tackle infectious disease such as COVID-19. Well, he was making some remark with regards to this. He stressed that the Quarantine Act of 1996 has become obsolete, and it was time that everybody moves on. Just move on and accept what we are putting forward. Just few debates, but accept it.
The Quarantine Act of 1996 is definitely outdated, and what was happening then is not what we have now. So definitely, there's a need, and the need was also shown by the experiences we are having with the COVID-19 pandemic. We've had challenges, even despite the fact that there has been a lot of management. You can see there has been inter-government conflict between federal states. You can see some states not going in line with a national directive, whereas we have a national emergency. You can see some individuals challenging the authority of institutions that are there to protect life of citizens.
Okay, meanwhile, let me also state very quickly that the media was not allowed to cover this extensively as much as they would have loved to. I don't know, because the Infectious Disease Bill has been controversial for some few weeks now. Now, but however, present there was the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum. In fact, he's the governor himself. Kayode Fami was there, and he says, well, this bill, as noble as it is, has some... let me go to Nigeria. We have some score inside of it. He said, well, there's needs to be sure of how human rights of Nigerians will be covered. But take a listen to him.
For us at the Nigerian Governors Forum, our position is that any disease with significant threat to public health that will require authorizing measures that may potentially infringe or otherwise reserve human liberties, the proposed measures must take into account a number of ethical considerations balancing public health against human rights.
All right, so that's the point where they find this very, very, very interesting. Meanwhile, I'll let you in, if I can, on what the NCDC boss expressed about the same situation later on. Did anybody follow through with the fact that the National Identity Management Commission says 100 million Nigerians, like you, like I, like other people within Nigeria, are without any valid means of identification? Well, the DG, Engineer Aliyu Aziz, announced a shocking revelation on Wednesday during a virtual meeting with some newsmen in Abuja. He said the use of the national identification number that could be used for security purpose, also for financial planning, was not pretty much available to 100 million Nigerians, or many million Nigerians were not just on board with that. Take a listen to how he explained.
We have in this country over 100 million Nigerians that do not have any form of official identity. And this includes the poorest and the most vulnerable groups, that is women, girls, less educated people, migrants, refugees, asylum seekers, even stateless people that you can find that they neither belong here nor there, like people in Bakassi. There are some that neither belongs to Nigeria nor Cameroon, and also many other people are like that.
All right, well, that's interesting. And then he also did say the national identity number was totally different from the international passport, as it could not confer citizenship. Okay, here's how he said it.
The NIN does not confer citizenship. Why? Because it is just a proof of identity that who are you? And therefore it does not confer citizenship. Anywhere that for you to get citizenship, you have to go through a process, and it takes long time. Also, it's the Ministry of Interior that is in charge of citizenship.
Okay. Meanwhile, in Niger States, easing of lockdown has started to happen.
All interstate travels are to be eased, and the internal security checkpoints should be dismantled. The ban on commercial motorcycle operators shall remain. Public motor parks and other public transportation centers must continue to abide by the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Transport for their operations. Police and other security agencies to arrest and prosecute anyone not wearing face masks in public places within the state. The State Ministry of Education is directed to liaise with all stakeholders in the educational sector towards developing a workable strategy for the opening of our schools.
Okay, that was in Niger State. In Kaduna State, churches, yes, you can open mosques, you can open hotels, only room service, no restaurants, no. In fact, listen to Governor El-Rufai explain it.
Businesses can reopen subject to the provision of thermometers for temperature checks, sanitizers or hand washing equipment, and physical distancing measures within all facilities. Working hours will be from 9 a.m. in the morning to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Church services are allowed only on Sundays, and mosques are allowed to conduct only Friday Jumu'at services for the time being, subject to compliance with the safety stipulations above. Transport operators must reduce capacity to not more than 2 passengers per row and not more than 50% of bus capacity.
All right, well, that was in Kaduna State. Pretty much the governor there, El-Rufai, speaking, extensively on the new modalities. Ministry of Interiors, how well have they done? They say they have done well under the leadership of the minister there, Rauf Aregbesola. He's been explaining what he has achieved in the last 1 year under his leadership. Let's take a listen. I mean, all of them actually have had 1 year so far. How well has that been?
Some of the achievements we recorded in internal security management include 1,126 murder or culpable homicide cases of suspects that were arrested. That is 1,126 involving murder or culpable homicide were arrested. 3,307 armed robbery suspects were arrested, and 2,352 kidnapping suspects were also arrested. 2,744 suspected cultists were arrested.
Assets were also saved.
Federal Fire Service responded to 2,615 fire calls, saved 724 lives and assets worth 1.629 trillion naira between June and October 2019 across the country. It's within the professional competence of the fire service to evaluate property. It's internationally, it's not Nigerian phenomenon alone. The fire service of the world are trained to assess and evaluate value and worth of property so as to put clear information and message of their activities and what they have done.
Meanwhile, okay, let me rally back to Borno State very quickly. So the incident where the governor said he had to convey 5 people who were affected by the attack by insurgents in his hometown, he had to move them to into an undisclosed hospital. All right, listen to him.
The only possible option to end this massacre is to dislodge the insurgents from the shores of the Lake Chad. We have been advocating for this thing for a long time. They don't stay here, but they used to come from a far away. The only solution is for the government to take necessary steps with a view to ensuring that they were dislodged from their main locations, which is along the shores of the Lake Chad. The total number of about 81 people were killed. It could be recalled that last year, exactly about the same number were killed in Gajiram. And I think this time around it's the same people that came and kill these people.
Okay. Well, a COVID-19 survivor, Professor Abdulrazak Habib, says prayers and the support of his family members were instrumental in ensuring his recovery. Now, if you do not know him, let me do a quick intro to him. He's a professor of infectious and tropical disease at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital in Kano State. He was speaking on Midday Dialogue on our station here on Nigerian Info. He said in 35 days of experiencing the coronavirus, the most important ingredient was inner strength he got from prayers. He also said, well, it did take on steam inhaled steam, consumption of green, lemon, and ginger tea, as well as participating in regular physical exercise. That was what he said he did in those 35 days. Let's share quickly with you what his experience was like. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to hold on a little bit until this... Oh, there.
The definition of being...
Not that one. Behave yourself. I'm able to get to you. All right. Well, I may have to rally back into play that again. Let's see whether I can get a hold of it. I have a little bit of small technical issue. I'm seeing... Oh, yeah. All right. So, but that was his own expression of that. Well, we'll see how things really do go at the end of the day. Okay. So... June 12th. Let me round off with June 12th very quickly. I'm pressed for time and I need you to join the conversation soon enough. So here's a little bit of how people have continued to express things that did happen on June 12th. I shared with you earlier what the president said about the economy and the likes of that. In fact, let's go to the economy. He announced a few things as regards what has been achieved during this last 1 year with regards to the economy. Take a listen.
We have witnessed 11 quarters of consecutive GDP growth since exiting recession. The GDP grew from 1.91% in 2018 to 2.27% in 2019, but declined to 1.87% in the first quarter of 2020 as a result of the decline in global economic activities due to COVID-19 pandemic. Every single economy in the world has suffered a decline. Ours has been relatively moderate.
All right. Well, he also said more with regards to, things that will be done in the agricultural sector and other sectors.
Agriculture remains the key to our economic diversification strategy. The Presidential Fertilizer Initiative Program continues to deliver significant quantities of affordable and high-quality fertilizers to our farmers. This initiative has also revived 31 blending plants and created a significant number of direct and indirect jobs across the value chain. Government is also revamping the cotton, textile, and garment sector.
And yes, he acknowledged that while things can be better between him and the media.
We will continue to guarantee freedom of the press as we place high premium on responsible journalism that is devoid of hate speech, fake news, and other unethical professional conduct. As we celebrate this year's Democracy Day, let us remember that notwithstanding our aspirations, humanity and indeed democracy is under the threat of COVID-19. Nigeria has survived many crises before and came out stronger. I am confident that by God's grace, we shall overcome this one and emerge stronger and more purposeful.
Amen. That's all I'll say to that. So Abuja residents have been expressing their thoughts about Democracy Day. Yeah, they've been expressing themselves. In fact, Atinuke Dorcas Agbija was speaking with some residents here in Abuja regards to Democracy Day. Take a listen.
We're expecting recession somehow, aren't we? This measures in play. I don't know if there's a way it can get into government ears. I think the first thing to do is allow markets even 24 hours if possible. Because indeed, if there's pandemic and you're actually locking down the market, allowing access on 2 or 3 days in a week, everybody clumps into the market at the same time. It means that's the first place we're about to get them.
Today being Democracy Day, we hope and pray that the country will continue to live in peace, and we pray that this COVID-19 will come to an end, and also pray to God that the government should do the right thing at the right time so that the masses will be happy.
But can any Nigerian brag or confidently with their choice as in the last 5 years? It has not deteriorated from what it used to be before May 29, 5 years ago, really. I know now it's June 12. I mean, this was changed just only recently, like about a year ago. 2019, they now said officially they will make it the celebration of democracy's icon, Chief Erika Abiola, and all of that. Well, really, look at what's happening in the north. Like, you can't sleep with your eyes closed. You understand? Bandits are the ones that get to determine, as in they walk freely, they roam about in broad daylight. But what else?
All right, well, that covers that. Now, let's go into one of the flavorable news of the week. Yeah, this is the most flavorable news of the week. This one is interesting. It's Edo State. Basically, who qualified, who did run on the platform of the All Progressive Congress to be the governor of the state in his first term, suddenly, I say, it doesn't qualify to run for the second term on the grounds that the same certificate that were verifiable in his first term appear no longer to be verifiable now. Verifiable meaning that they could not confirm or ascertain if he's truly the possessor of such certificates. But my question is, how did he get through the first term and then the second term looks mischievous? I don't know. I'm not too sure we'll figure this out anytime soon. But he has agreed that he would not challenge what the All Progressive Congress has decided to do at this time.
In the first place, I think I quite appreciate the decision of government. When I say government, I mean federal. So I was choosing today as against the previous date of May 29th as the Democracy Day. It signifies a lot for those who were around when the presidential election of 1993 held. I mean, the most acknowledged in terms of fairness and everything good about an election. As always, we would expect good governance, and good governance will be seen in several areas. The welfare of the people, which will border on protection of their lives and property. Looking at the pandemic especially, one would expect government to be proactive.
Looks like I have a mix-up there. Okay, looks like I have a mix-up there. But the person who spoke on his behalf on Friday was Professor Jonathan Ayube, who explained that it would not be challenging that. So but looks like I have a mix-up with regards to that. Okay, well, in the Red Chamber, they say in the last 1 year, 450 bills have been put under review. This is the last portion of what I will share with you this morning before bringing you into this conversation.
The Senate has passed the request of the Executive on the revised Budget 2020. The review of the Budget 2020 is largely due to the adverse impact of COVID-19 pandemic on our revenues. As an oil-dependent economy, the slump in the price of crude in the world market means that the revenues we earn cannot meet the planned expenditures.
All right, well, that covers that. If I will go by it, that covers that to an extent. All right, stay with me. I'm going to break. And after the break, there will be more to hear from you. This is The Brief with FMD Live.
Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I'm ready. Let's take on the biggest debates on radio, provide insights, experience, and build an unforgettable discussion together. I am Femi D. Amele.